Hello and welcome to Todd Talk, where insight meets inspiration. I'm your host, Todd Hiller. I'm an author, speaker, and longtime community leader, here to guide you on a journey towards fulfillment and balance. In every episode, we'll explore ways to fill life's emptiness, helping you uncover practical tools to create harmony, purpose, and happiness. Whether it's thriving in your career, nurturing personal growth, or simply finding joy in the everyday, Todd Talk is your space for real conversations and actionable advice. So let's thrive together, personally, professionally, and beyond. This is Todd Talk, and I'm thrilled to have you here.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Todd Talk. Today, I would like to share something with you that is a personal story of me, and I know a lot of what I speak about is related to my life and the things that I'd like to help people with and help people through. But today, I'm going to share an actual story from my life and talk about the takeaways I have seen and gleaned and found through this whole process from start to finish. And my hope is that it can bring you some clarity and maybe some peace in something difficult that you may be walking through, or in this case, walking away from. And as we go forward, I just want to remind you that when you leave or when you let go, sometimes that's the bravest thing and the most necessary thing you can do. So don't feel guilty about it. We're going to walk through what that looks like. The story is about me stepping down from a role I've had for a very long time. So anyone who's listened for a little while, or if you follow me on social media, you know that I've been in the fire department for a long time. And I've been deputy chief for a long time also. So I didn't expect to step down. For 26 years, firefighting was in my bones, and it's still in my bones. A decade of those, I was the deputy chief of my department, and recently the weight became more than the joy could carry, so to speak. And that's hard to say, because part of my life has always been in the fire service. Since I was just a kid, I have been a firefighter in some capacity or another. And it's difficult to step away from that. It's difficult to walk away from that. It's difficult to set that down. It's difficult when that weight becomes too much for the joy of the position or the joy of the experience to carry. But unfortunately, it's a reality. And I think it's a reality that a lot of people face, and maybe some of you listening have faced it in similar situations, not necessarily in the fire service, but in your job and your career, maybe in your life, maybe with a spouse or a partner, maybe with a family member or a boss or a coworker or anyone, maybe even a neighbor. But let's talk about what that looks like, and let's find a way to remind ourselves that it's okay to walk away and it's okay to step away when we need to. And I know it's hard, because I asked myself, how do I step away from something I love without feeling like I'm giving up on it and also giving up on myself? And the answer is not linear at all. The answer has been bounced around in my brain for quite some time, but I want to walk you guys through that so we can take this journey together, and hopefully I can help you folks if you are dealing with something that's similar in any way, shape, or form. I have always considered myself a loyal person, and I want to highlight that. And if you are a loyal person and that's something you consider yourself, or a trait that other people call out in you, that's a really beautiful thing to be. But sometimes staying in a role out of loyalty can sometimes mean sacrificing your mental health or your emotional health and well-being, and that's not a good thing to do. There is a lot of guilt and a lot of grief that comes with the decision to step away, even when it's the right choice and the right thing to do. I walked myself in circles, literally and figuratively, night after night, thinking about what to do and not taking this decision lightly, and trying to find how exactly I was going to do this and be okay with it from my own perspective, and be okay with it from the perspective of not feeling like I'm letting down the fire department and not feel like I'm letting down my town, or letting down myself or my family or the people who know me or the people who recognize me as the deputy chief in the fire department and always have. So there is some pressure in public service, I think, to quote-unquote stick it out, even to your own detriment, because the people in this world with a servant's heart, especially those public servants, have a duty to serve and a duty to act. And I think somewhere along the lines, we feel like it is our duty, or it becomes our duty, to say yes to everyone else's needs and never, ever say, no, we can't help you or we can't serve, because we have given so much time and energy to service. But I want to remind you, and please hear me when I say this, you can be loyal to something and still know when it's time to let it go. It doesn't mean you haven't been loyal to it all those years in the past, and it doesn't mean you aren't still being loyal to it. I'm going to say that again. You can be loyal to something and still know when it's time to let it go. But the big question is, how do you know, or how do we know when it's time to let it go? There are definitely warning signs that come along with it, and sometimes I think that we're maybe programmed to not want to see them, or maybe programmed to avoid them even when we do see them, because the signs do show up. Burnout, we've talked a lot about burnout in this podcast all throughout the different episodes. Dread and the feeling of being unseen and unheard, or just a lack of alignment with the leadership or with the goals of the other people around you, is a really difficult minefield of emotions to wade through. And it's no secret to anyone listening that we as humans, some of us don't like conflict. But unfortunately, sometimes conflict gets so intermingled into what we're working through and working on and walking through, we don't have any choice but to face it head on and figure out what to do from that point forward. And for me, there were lots of signs. There was this just uneasy feeling that my position there was no longer being respected. There was a feeling that even though all the things and all the goodness I had tried to bring to the department and bring to the company and bring a sense of togetherness and a sense of family was being overlooked and pushed past and walked on and kind of just trampled on, what they were definitely there. And that led to a feeling of unhappiness about the whole situation. I wasn't excited anymore to go and walk and step into my role as deputy chief. I wasn't excited to meet with people and try to figure out how we could be the very best department we could be for the town. Now, that doesn't mean I don't still want our department to be the best we can be for the town. That doesn't mean that I don't still want us to provide a tremendous service to the town. It just means that what I was trying to do and the path I was trying to take, there wasn't a lot of alignment from the other people around me, and that was something that was not only frustrating, but a little bit sad. I have always been okay with taking criticism. I've always been okay with asking people for help. I've always been okay with taking the insights and opinions of other people and putting them into practice and taking their ideas, whether it was at the firehouse, at a fire scene, or just life in general. I've always tried to stay open to new ideas because I think that's one of the most beautiful ways to grow through any environment and any situation, is to use multiple perspectives and multiple objective points of view and create the best environment or the best group or the best thing that you can create. And I always tried to do that. But please hear me when I say there is a difference between giving up and letting go. I am not giving up on the fact that firefighting is in my bones. I'm not giving up on the fact that I am a servant at heart and want to help people and help my community and those communities around me. I'm not giving up on the fact that I have a tremendous amount of knowledge about the fire service and wisdom to impart on others and an ambition to help other people become better, and also at the same time better myself and better my knowledge and my career and my skill set. That all is still very present. So please hear me. I'm going to say it again. There is a difference between giving up and letting go. Letting go just means you are setting down the thing that has become too heavy to carry. You are letting go of the burden that is pulling you down instead of letting you walk up to where you want to be or want to stay. There is no shame in letting go of something that is far too heavy for you to walk the path you want to walk. I saw a beautiful analogy the other day in a video. There was a man standing on a stage, and he asked a woman from the audience to stand up on a chair. And he reached his hand up and he said, pull me up with you, pull me up to your level, elevate me, pull me up onto your chair and get me to where you want me to be. And so she pulled and tugged and tried, and obviously she couldn't pull this and lift this man by one arm up onto the chair. He was a big guy. Even if he wasn't a big guy, it's hard to do to pull somebody up onto that chair. But she reached her arm out again, and he said, give me your hand again. And all he did was he pulled on her, and she came right down off the chair, and both feet hit the stage, and he made sure she didn't fall. But he said, this is what I want to tell you and leave you with. It is so much harder to pull someone up to where you want them to be than it is to be pulled down by someone who wants to bring you down to their level and bring you down from where you are. So remember that as you go forward. Letting go doesn't make you a bad person. Letting go just means you're not willing to be pulled down to that deep, dark place that you walked yourself out from already, or that you have never chosen to go in the first place. But lifting people up and pulling people up is really hard, especially when no one's going to pull with you. So that's the difference between giving up and letting go. You can let go without giving up. You can still have the passion. You can still have the fire. You can still have the ability and the want and the need to help people, or whatever it is you're walking through, whatever situation you are in, you can still have the desire to be involved in, use your energy to walk forward in that space and with that specific thing in your life. But you do not have to always pull and always carry the weight of the people around you that don't align with your beliefs and your way of thinking. Sometimes I think the bravest thing you can do is to say, this no longer serves me, and it's okay to set it down. And that sounds easy to say in a podcast. It sounds super easy for me to just say it into my microphone, but it's not easy. Please understand it's not easy, and please hear me when I know that it's not easy for you, whatever you're walking through, because part of it, specifically in my case, comes with a little bit of loss of identity. In the literal sense, I gave up some literal things. I have a different helmet now because I'm no longer deputy chief. I no longer have a car number within the department. I no longer have a radio. I no longer have the plaque that says I am deputy chief. I no longer have an office. I have physical things that have changed a little bit, but my identity has always been a firefighter since I was literally a kid, since I was a teenager. My identity has been a firefighter, and for a decade, my identity has been as a leader within our fire department and a leader within our fire company. And so that's gone now, and it's okay to grieve that a little bit. It's okay to be sad about that. It's okay to look at that and say, well, this was great while it lasted, but the time has come for things to change or for me to become something different. That's okay, but you don't have to just get over it right away with snapping your fingers, because there is a little bit of emotional fallout that happens, right? We go through those steps. There's some anger, there's some sadness, there's some frustration. There is a tiny bit of relief weaved in there. Please know that's okay too. If you feel relieved because you're stepping back from a position that feels burdensome, that's not something you need to be ashamed of. It's okay to feel a little bit of relief that you'll have a little bit more time back. It's okay to feel relief that you won't feel so weighted down and dreadful every time you're going to be involved in this one thing. And it's okay, especially, to feel a little bit of relief that you are no longer fighting an uphill battle with people who are unwilling to see the goodness you are trying to do in the situation. I want to tell you that just because you choose the ending doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. Just because you choose how things are going to stop being the way they have been for however long they've been that way doesn't mean there's not some pain associated with that. So step into that and realize it's okay that it hurts a little bit. It's okay that there's sadness and anger and frustration woven within that process. But along with that, I want to pull this out of there too, and to remind you that your value isn't confined to your identity or your title or your position. You have so much personal value. You have so many things about your life that you can make time for and do abundantly and do well. You can serve people and help people in whatever capacity you want to now walking forward. And it doesn't mean that you are less valuable because you no longer have a certain title or position. Some of the most amazing leaders I have ever met don't give a good gosh darn about what is on their desk or what is on their office door or what is on the back of their fire coat or their fire helmet or what letters come after their name. Some of the bravest and strongest and most amazing leaders I have ever met, they lead that way because that is what is in their heart to do so, and they don't care what their title or position is. Even if the title and position is stripped away, they will still be that fierce leader and that fierce lion of a person who will always go to bat for the people they believe in and the things they believe in. I have an episode that I'll link in the comments called Happiness is Not a Destination, It's a Way of Life. And I want to give you a little bit different view of that happiness isn't a destination. It's a way of traveling even when the path changes. So the episode before had talked about how happiness can become and should become a way of life. And so I want to remind you that even if you are traveling down a path and the path changes, happiness is still a way of traveling. It's still something you can pursue within your life. You don't need to give up on it just because the path looks a little bit different than it did yesterday or 2 weeks ago. And if you're wondering how to get here, how to get to this place where you realize what decision you should make, I'll give you a little bit of advice. First, I'll give you some comfort in knowing that this will not be easy. It's okay that it will be difficult. But when you do this, I want you to just do a gut check. Do a gut check, gut feeling. Which way is your moral compass pointed? Ask yourself, does this still light me up, or is it burning me out and dragging me down and leaving me feeling depleted? Ask yourself that and be brutally and 100% honest. Don't say, well, it's not great or it's not as great as it used to be, but it's kind of okay. If that's not the truth, don't walk down that path. If you think about it and you go, oh, God, this is awful. I don't even want to go. I don't even want to do this thing. I don't even want to go to this place, go to this meeting, see this person, take this job, whatever it is. If that sense of dread is in your gut and that's the gut check reaction you get, then listen to that, okay? Listen to that. Now, once you have that moral compass and you know where you are pointed, talk to someone about it. Talk to your mentor. If you have a therapist you talk to a therapist. Talk to your trusted advisor. Talk to a friend. Talk to your best friend, your coworker, your colleague. Whoever can help you with those decisions, whoever it is you walk through with things like that. Use that person, whoever it is in your life, and talk to someone about that. Don't carry the weight of your decision alone. Now, I don't mean that they need to make the decision for you. I mean that I want you to go lay all this out to them and let them help you carry it and walk through it and figure out the best path to your decision. It is still ultimately your decision, but there are people in your life you can talk to that will listen and help you sort out the details and ask you questions in return, and ask you questions to bounce back and say, okay, so what I'm hearing is you saying you can either do X or Y. Your choices are A, B, or C. Is that true? And you can say, gosh, thanks very much for framing it that way. That's very true and makes it even a little bit simpler, and that's been really, really helpful. Another thing to do is please don't rush this. Big decisions should not be snap decisions. Never have a reactive or a reaction to something. Never have your decision be reactive. Always have it be proactive. Think about things from every angle. Look at all sides of it. Turn it on its head and look at it again. And give yourself some time and space to walk away from it, set it down, come back to it a few days later or a few weeks later and look at it again, because we all need time to cool off, or we all need time to look at things from a different perspective. And when you do that, when you give yourself the time and the chance to see it from different angles and different perspectives, and you pair that with the other person in your life you're going to talk to who will ask you about some things in the situation and ask you the questions and do a little bit of reframing for you, then you can make a really informed decision about what's going forward and what you want to do. And also, while you do that, make a pro and con list. The good old-fashioned pros and cons, like our teachers in high school used to make us do, or even probably middle school when it was a story or when it was a science experiment, whatever it was. Make a pro and con list. Make a joy list. Write down, hey, if I do this thing, what is good if I make this decision? And then what's bad? What are the pros? What are the cons? What's my joy list? Write down what currently brings you joy or brings you peace and what doesn't. And then look at it and say, if I walk forward and make this decision, will I still have joy and peace in those same ways? And if the answer is no, maybe you need to reframe your decision, or maybe you need to reframe what choice you're going to make in that moment, or maybe you just need to look at it from one more angle before you finally make a decision. Like I said, no matter through this entire process, you have to tell yourself the truth. The truth is going to hurt. It's never going to be easy to hear yourself admit to some things that you don't necessarily want to admit to. But be truthful even when it hurts, because the truth is the only path through the correct decision. Please hear me when I say that. Being truthful with yourself is the only path through the correct decision. I am guilty of this also. Somebody says, well, are you going to do X, Y, or Z? And I'm going to say, well, I'm going to do X. And they say, well, is that going to make you happy? And I'll say, yep, I'm going to be okay with that. But there's a little part of my brain, a little flashing light in the back corner that says, Todd, no, you're not. I don't think you're going to be happy with that. What about this thing? What about this thing? What about this thing? What about this idea? What about this perspective? What about all those things? So tell yourself the truth. When it comes to your emotional and your physical and your mental well-being, there is no point in lying to yourself, because it's just going to keep you in the same place you are. And the goal of this is to move to a new space where you feel better and feel okay and you feel good about your decision. Now, please hear me when I say this also. You can feel good about your decision. That doesn't mean you need to feel good about what is happening. There's a big difference. Yes, I want you to make an informed decision. Yes, I want you to feel joy and be happy and proud of your decision itself. But that doesn't mean that the decision you're making, that everything behind it gets easier. It can still be difficult. Difficult decisions are big decisions, but big decisions are important decisions. So know that the decision itself should be difficult. And even if it is difficult, it should also be the one that makes you feel good. You should feel really good about your decision at the end of the day, even if what's behind it feels really hard still. Because that feeling of it being difficult or being hard or being tough to walk through, that will fade the more you step into your decision and you find happiness and peace and joy in the decision itself. The difficult parts of that you already walked through will start to fade, because going forward, after making a decision that you were really happy with and proud of, that will help the pain of what has already happened to you and with you fade a little bit. And eventually, it'll fade a lot. And I've said lots of times in lots of episodes, we are our own harshest and toughest critics. But listen to me when I tell you this. You are allowed to change. You are allowed to heal. And you are allowed to protect your peace, even from the things you love. Please, please hear me. You are allowed to protect your peace even from the things you love. If something that you love in your life brings you a tremendous amount of grief or agony or sadness or frustration, I understand that you love it. I loved it. I loved the fire service. I loved being the deputy chief. I loved helping people and teaching people and letting them learn and welcoming them into my fire company. I loved it. It is deeply ingrained in me to always be that and always put that forward. But like I said, you don't necessarily need a title or the position to be that type of person. You can bring goodness to this world and leadership to this world and helpfulness to this world without ever having any title or position. Just live your life that way and be the person that exudes all those things and helps people in that way. And it doesn't matter what you are called or what people say your title or your position is. Just live that way on purpose and do that intentionally, and you will literally change the world for the better. So as we wind this down and I leave you with some final thoughts, I want to remind you of all those things that we talked about. Go back and listen again if you need to. You are allowed to protect your peace, even if it means stepping away from something you love. You are allowed to change. You are allowed to heal. And remember also that just because you choose the ending doesn't mean that it's not going to hurt. So this may be the end of the episode, but this isn't the end of my service. It's just a different kind. And if you are in a place where something you once loved is now a source of pain or frustration or anger, I want you to know a few things. You are not alone, for one. I just told you why you're not alone in this entire episode. But also, you are not weak. You are wise. You are not undeserving. You are deserving. And you are making room for what's next. And you don't have to write that entire next chapter in this very instant. All you have to do is give yourself space on the page to keep on writing. If this episode or any others have resonated with you, please share them with someone who might like to hear them as well. As always, thank you for listening. Follow along on social media. If you need to find me, my username is Todd W. Hiller across all platforms. Thank you very much. Be well. As always, thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in to Todd Talk. If you've liked what you've heard, please go ahead and subscribe and follow along so you don't miss any updates or new episodes. Thanks very much and enjoy the rest of your day.